jump to the structure for the ureter, I'll give you a little slide. It says ureter function is transport urine toward the urinary bladder. Okay. Now let's take a look at this. It extends from renal pelvis, the opening here, to urinary bladder, and it's controlled by muscle, what we call peristalsis. You know this one, like small intestine. They will contract 24 hours a day. Okay. The container called urinary bladder is so heavy, so it's supporting by the middle and the lateral ligament. Okay, and two lateral ligament is coming from umbilical artery. We have two umbilical artery in the fetus, right? The inner surface we call rugae, just like stomach. Okay. The urinary, the wall is very thin muscular layer we call destructural muscle. I'll tell you. And the lower part here we call trigone, triangle shape, look like a funnel. And the lower part there of opening of urinary bladder we call internal urethral sphincter. We had the other one external. Okay, let's take a look at the figure first. Okay, now here's right kidney, left kidney, and here's the ureter, and you can see that the right one a little bit shorter. Okay. If we had a cross section for the ureter, and you will see the cell look like this. We call transitional epithelium cell, because without the urine pass, it look like more cells. And if the urine go through it, it could be reduced 50%. Okay, they still have the tube called lamina propria connective tissue and very strong muscle to surround it. Okay. Now let's take a look. On our slide, we also had a ureter, and this one will show you the muscle outside. Then that is epithelium cell. Okay, that is transitional epithelium cell. Okay, so I highlight this one. The tube going down to urinary bladder is transitional. The urinary bladder on the container itself also transitional. And what is so important for transitional, I'll tell you later. Now let's take a look at the whole urinary bladder. This one is from the male. And you can see it has 3 ligaments. This ureter is right here, right side, left side. It's not open on the top. It open close to the bottom. Okay, right and then close to open here, and the left ureter close open here. And here's opening of urinary bladder, and look like triangle shape here. And so this part we call trigone, and it looks like a funnel, and that the urine easy to go down. The inner surface a little bit folding we call rugae. The outer part strong muscle we call this part called destructural muscle, holding by 2 ligaments, lateral umbilical ligament is one, right and the left, and here's the middle umbilical ligament. Okay. That's coming from umbilical arteries. Okay. And the guy, you had a prostate gland right under the urinary bladder, and you had a sphincter here called internal urethral sphincter, because start from here, the pathway up to the opening of penis is the urethra. Here is a ring, a circle structure of internal urethra. It's a smooth muscle. When the urine had enough volume, it just relaxed and opened. But we had the other sphincter called external urethral sphincter. It's below the prostate, skeletal muscle, so you can control by your will. So urine, this control, it take probably 2 or 3 years to train the young kids to control the urine, to control this external urethral sphincter. Okay. Now let's go to the slide. Here's outside, here's inside. The epithelium cell we call transitional epithelium cell. Without the urine, it looks like a little bit monocle layer. With the urine, it will reduce. And then we have this one called mucosa, submucosa, and the muscle here. Muscle is very strong because detrusor muscle. Okay, can push the urine out. And why it's so important for transitional epithelium cell? From your AMP1, it tells us transitional epithelium cell only locate in urinary bladder and the urethra. And here, the urinary bladder is without too much urine. And you can see the cell look like monocle here. And this one filled with urine, it reduced about 50%. Becomes smaller. And so it's changeable. So it's transitional. It's epithelium cell. And this one very special because in our whole body, only these two parts belong to transitional epithelium cell. And in the lab, I wanted to look at this one. This one is not small intestine first, because the muscle is irregular shape, and that's detrusor muscle. And this one is not villi. This one is one part of branches, and here's transitional epithelium cell. So it's urinary bladder, amplified. This one, that's the inner part here. We call the rugate here, and it's without urine because we already cut through it, and you see the monocle layer. And with the urine, it can reduce 50%. Okay. So I would like to go back to the original slide here. Yeah, I highlight here. This very special cell they can change. We don't call it as certified squamous because the thickness it could be changed with the urine or not urine. Okay, and so that's very special for epithelium cell. And several years ago, I had a lecture here, and after the class, and one girl came to me and said, "Dr. Yu, I like the term transitional. It's a good term." Then I said, "Why is it a good term?" She said, "Oh, I do have a boyfriend, and sometimes he looked like very close to me, and sometimes he looked like far away. So I'm going to call him my transitional boyfriend." This girl is so smart. Okay, he applied the medical term to the boyfriend. He said, "I'm going to call him transitional boyfriend, my transitional boyfriend, because sometimes close, sometimes far away. Transitional." Okay, all right. So remember, can put in your memory. Okay, transitional means something related urine. Okay, yeah. This internal urethral sphincter control by parasympathetic. Yeah. And how about the female? You don't have the prostate, and where's the external urethral sphincter? Okay, yeah. I think I had a slide later on to show you. It's a female, okay. Or male is right here. That's urinary bladder, big container. Here's the prostate. And here the opening part here we had an internal urethral sphincter, and here's external. Okay, so you can control the urine in and out. And how about female? Yes, female internal urethral sphincter is right here, in the opening area. And how about external? Okay, about 1/3 of the urethra. Look at this one. External urethral sphincter, right here. Okay, and because it's cross and connect to internal anal sphincter, and so we call it urogenital diaphragm. Okay, you look like this one. And so sometimes if your solid waste cannot comes out, your urine also cannot comes out. Okay, because it relates. Okay, think about it the last time you had experience. And guys, you also the same thing. You also have this urogenital diaphragm. It also connect to the anus, control the anus. Okay. Maybe female, you have more sensitive to. Oh, sorry, this one is external anus sphincter. Okay. All right. So the first, you know the epithelium cell. Now we move to the next one, the urethra. Okay, the male or female, they all the same, stratified squamous epithelium cell. The thickness of the epithelium cell already the same. Okay, not transitional, and because we need a lot of pressure to go through it, so we have multiple layers of just like esophagus. You have a lot of food to pass by, and so it's a very strong epithelium cell. Stratified squamous epithelium cell. Okay, this one I think from female. Yeah, we cut through the middle of this one, and without urine, it look like a lot of branches of space. With the urine, it will be just a single space. And in the male, it's the same thing. Now we're talking a little bit about urination. The other medical term is called micturition. Micturition is how urinary bladder will contract, and we had a receptor located in the detrusor muscle, and we had an input to spinal cord. Here it looks like this. Here urinary bladder and the muscle called detrusor muscle. And we have stretch receptor on the muscle. And when we have enough urine, the volume increase, stretch the receptor, we have an afferent pathway to tell the spinal cord, and that's input. And the efferent through this the neuron, they will stimulate the detrusor muscle contract and push the urine up. But it also sends through the spinal cord all the way up to the brain, cerebral cortex. And then if it had enough volume, and it sent back to here, we don't have to carry the other one. Oh, they had one is sent in, and one is sent out. Because let's say you had enough volume, and then you want to go to the restroom, okay, and then now your cerebral, your brain tell you no, it's still in the lecture area, okay, the lecture you hold it, so it tell this external urethral sphincter hold it, okay, so your urine not going to come down, okay, and so the shock loop feedback would tell the detrusor muscle quickly contract, but our brain will override this command and say no, hold it external sphincter. Now the question we're thinking about is, how about if a person had a spinal injury and cut off his nerve, and then what happened? This patient cannot control urination. Okay. They were sent to the thalamus and cerebral cortex, and we call this condition incontinence, inability to control urination, because it could be damage to spinal cord, of course, one of them. Internal or external, the sphincter, pelvic nerve, spinal cord, central nervous system, or prostate gland. Okay, they cannot complete close or lost all the control. And I knew some case, one patient had a car accident and damage to the spinal cord, and he had to be in a wheelchair, then cannot control the urine, and so in the beginning, the doctor will put a catheter, put a tube, and put a bag, like a patient had a surgery in a hospital, you cannot control your urination, and they will temporarily put a catheter, male or female, through the urethra, and your urine will go to the bag, right? A bag to collect the urine. But that patient cannot wear that kind of device in the whole year, something. And so how he can had a good life with the damage. And now they had new technique. They put what? Semiconductor chip on the wall of urinary bladder and put a battery there. Okay, and put a device buried on the skin. And so that device can control it. Even in a wheel cannot control it. And then the device can control very well. And so the patient don't need to have a catheter all the way from the opening of urethra to the urinary bladder. And that's very inconvenient, also very easy to cause a bacterial infection. Okay, so now they have a device. Okay, maybe TI test instrument make this one device. That belong to bioengineer. Now let's say something. Compare the fluid in the blood plasma, compare the urine, and what's the major difference? We have sodium, we have chlorine, bicarbonate, and I put the arrow increase. I mean, in the urine we had a lot of potassium. I mean, that is the majorly we treat at the West. We don't want it. Chlorine is one of them we don't want. Yeah, a little bit higher than that. Okay. Sodium we need both. We don't get rid too much on that. Bicarbonate we keep it. Okay, because we send to blood circulation, send to the lung and check it to the CO2. Okay, so the CO2 is not carried off from urine, it's from the lung. And glucose, lipid, amino acid, protein is the useful material, almost close to zero in the urine. Okay, so we really absorb almost 99.9%. Only by accident lost a little bit. Okay, and something we don't want it as the nitrogen waste. Urea is number one. Nitrogen waste, by the way, is coming from protein. We eat meat and then contain it's nitrogen, NH3 group. Creatinine is the one we don't want it. Ammonia, of course. Uric acid. Okay, and so they all quite different from the blood plasma. So if I had a multiple choice for you, say what kind of material we want to secrete, we don't want it, and the answer will be urea, creatinine, ammonia, uric acid, potassium, chlorine, something like that. And in a normal person in the urine, suppose you should be find close to zero of the material. What is that? Glucose, lipid, amino acid, protein. Suppose it should be close to zero. So we had a term we call specific gravity, because specific gravity for water is 1.0. So anything greater than 1.0 will be more concentrated. And urine we start from 1.003 to 1.03. Okay. So if you look at greater the value, specific gravity, and then we have more concentrated urine. And they do have a kind of device, medical, it had a kind of meter. You put your urine to the meter, and they can tell you specific gravity. And the other thing, don't worry too much, is about pH value. It could be from acid to alkaline, depending on what kind of fluid you're eating. This one I already mentioned that to prevent the random value, people GFR very low, we need to do dialysis. Okay, we inject something to the vein and then take out something from the artery and remove the urea. This table I just mentioned that. Okay. Roughly, you have to know it. Anything over 90 will be healthy, and anything 50 or 30, this one will be chronic, little bit kidney failure in the early stage. Don't worry about this. And this table show you renal tubule, what is absorption and secretion. And here you can see all the useful material we all reabsorb. And something we don't need, we added in the middle is the potassium, hydrogen ion. Okay. And the calcium is two-way. We add it or we don't want it. And the rest is the majority urea or containing ammonia. The other term I want to tell you is called pyro. This one. Pyro, the other word for kidney. And so the pyrogram is an image for the kidney. Okay. And we always do it by X-ray. And some problem in the kidney will be cast or stone. Cast we treat as a healthy thing if it's not too much concentration. It means it's a fragment from our blood, from epithelial cell or lipid or any kind of material in our body. This should be slide. Cast. Okay. If we get a urine from a healthy person and spin it, and then get rid of urine, and then get a precipitation, and then put the smear on the slide, and you can see something like this: some mucus, some red blood cell, a little bit small amount, some like a crystal, and some calcium oxalate, look at diamond, okay, and some yeast, some bacteria, it could be a small amount. Uric acid, it looks like crystal, okay, and this one would treat as a small amount, treat as a normal, and sometimes cell, the body of dead cell, epithelium cell, and sometimes hyaline, like cartridge, some pus, some red blood cell, and they all belong to normal. Okay. But the thing we don't want it is stone, what we call renal calculus. Yeah, kidney stone. Okay, it could be some kind of crystal. Majorly is calcium oxalate, uric acid, or cysteine, that's amino acid. Okay, and what is the symptom? It causes the pain or no pain. Depending on the shape. The shape is smooth on the surface, and you don't feel pain. It could relate to genetic factors, your family history, or because you don't drink too much water, or you eat too much meat and very little vegetable, okay. Or because you take too much vitamin C and D, will create this problem. And how they treat it is drink a lot of water to wash it out, okay, but sometimes not work, okay. And so we had to vibrate, and we call ESVL. It's a shock wave. And it's vibration on the back side of the body. I'm going to show you like this. This patient had a kidney problem, and now they will put it to this device and put like a best tap and put something like liquid inside. And below it is a machine to vibrate, and so it will cause pain, and the patient has to be under anesthesia, okay, and they will put it to in the best top layer and vibrate it, make the big stone to small stone, and then ask the patient drink a lot of water and wash it out, and so the urine could be very bloody because it together with will cause the bleeding, okay. And if not work, then they had to put catheter, a tube, endoscope from the ureter all the way to the inner brain. And if not, then they had to do the surgery. Okay. And when you find the stone, you had an X-ray like this. This is a normal kidney. You look at the shape here. That will be the minor, major calyx, and ureter, and urinary bladder. And then if they have kidney stone, here's the kidney. You see the white color here. That's stone. And here has some stone there. Okay. Let me go through this, and the physio part will come back later. Sorry, maybe I'll stop here. I will give you a quiz, good for you. Next exam number 3. This one will include chapter 23 and 24.